just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
The sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. Joining me tonight, I've got Stevie, Ash, and John, and most importantly, I've got you lot watching out there in internet land. If you've got us on the big telly, apologies about the wrinkles in my forehead. I'm due for an update, and it's it's not going well. It's not going well. Before I get into business, Ash, can you just unmute yourself and give me a mic check, because we're having some technical issues just offline, and I just wanted to just check how it's going, mate. How are you getting on?
Hello, everybody.
Hey! Up the ticks, Will Grigg. And also a big shout out to Finley, who's watching us this evening as well. He's always very... I tell you what, he's more happy to see me than you lads are in the pub on an away day, bless him. He's like, Forge. I'm like, yes, Finley. He makes me feel $1 million, does that kid. And don't forget, we have got the live comments on the screen right now and for the rest of the evening, so don't say fuck or bugger. Stevie, Ash, I know how your weekend went, so I'm not going to ask you. John, what did you get up to? Did you watch that American football? Did you watch that ludicrous display last night?
Yeah, I went. It's just one bad team coupled with another lately for me, unfortunately, being a Dolphins and a Wednesday fan. It's double sins, isn't it? So another nightmare showing from the Dolphins, and pretty bleak in terms of sporting events for me, unfortunately.
Hell of a weekend, mate. Hell of a weekend. Now, Stevie, Ash, I met you in that London this weekend. I've had a hangover from Hades itself, and I'm still really struggling. Ironically, I was like 7 days on the beer last week, and it's kicked me in the backside tonight, and I'm having a terrible time. Please tell me you're struggling as well, Stevie.
I was asleep for about 7 o'clock last night. Got home, nursed it. The kids, let's watch a film. Bought a big bag of popcorn. Sat on the sofa and saw about 10 minutes of it, and that was me. So I've been up since 3 a.m. because my body clock's all over the place now.
So if anybody does know the ending of Despicable Me 3, at least let Stevie know in the comments. Ash, how are you feeling, mate?
I'm spot on, mate. No issues with me. It's not big, it's not clever, guys. I think you need to learn to go to football and meet your mates and not overdo it on the alcohol.
It was quite honestly a big weekend for the Weakers. There was me, Stevie, Ash, and Holly all in the same place at the same time. A lot of us. I'm sorry, God Almighty. I'm so sorry, Simon. Yeah, so Simon, you guys came down. I meant to say, I had it in the end.
You literally stood next to him for 90 minutes.
I know he was there the whole time, and now I'm just like, I was like, make sure I mention everybody, and then forgot one. Brilliant, nice one, Fudge. Great one. That's going to bite me in the ass later on. Anyway, let's move on. So away at Charlton, John, did you have any thoughts pre-game that we might get something here? Ash, do you want to get the receipts ready for the for the predictions? Because I don't think any of us did very well. What were your thoughts, John, going into it?
I didn't think that, but I still don't think Charlton are particularly a good side, but we've got his own troubles, obviously. But I think I went for 1-1 on the predictions. I thought we could maybe, make a spirited performance and maybe come away with a point. But it's horrible. The way it's going right now, Dan, it's just you're trying to pick out positives when there aren't really any there, aren't you? You're just trying to find something to cling on to. Maybe we can, because he's G'd him up and Pedersen's G'd him up, but then we're losing players left, right, and centre still through injury, and you're just hoping. Begging for a draw, you know what I mean? Begging for a draw down at Charlton, and that's how bad it's got. So, but I did put us down for 1-1. So I felt, we might be able to come away with something, but sadly it wasn't to be.
Yeah, it was something that I thought we might get something. I must admit, they haven't really blown anybody away. I thought they had a couple of good results in the first 5 or 6 games, but then that's about it. It was they're going to have a tough old season, I think, but when it all kicks in. Now, normally at this point in the show, Ash, I'd normally go, here's the lineup. Is that the best lineup we could have picked? You know what I mean? That's the only lineup we could have picked.
It is, mate. Yeah, it's spot on. And I've been guilty of it for the last fair few weeks now of going, I ain't complaining about the starting 11 because that's it. We've got what we've got, and that's it. So I don't think we can really argue with that. Yeah, I mean, obviously Horvath, number one. Get the emergency loan in. Palmer. Yeah, it is where it is, mate. I can't complain on the starting lineup at all. I think the only question probably would have been was like who was going to start up with Brown up front, weren't it? It was either Lowe or Ugbo. Kadamarcha was late getting back from weren't he? So yeah, best of a bad bunch.
Yeah, slim pickings indeed. I mean, especially losing Iorfa as we did in the game, which we'll probably pull out later on. So I mean, let's get into the game, Stevie. Right. So I wouldn't go as far as saying it was under the cosh, but I felt like Charlton looked the liveliest before they scored. I mean, Stevie is a teacher and goes on these calls all the time. So him going on mute and trying to speak is hilarious to me. But we'll go again.
Oh my God, I've just clicked it and it's re-clicked. Sorry. Yeah, it was. Do you know what? I didn't feel like they came out the traps and were absolutely all over us. But like you said, they were lively. We did the preview show last week and they really taught themselves up. So I was a little bit nervous, if I'm honest with you, going into the game. But it felt in the ground. It felt relatively even, but it never felt in that opening sort of period of play like we were going to threaten the goalkeeper. It felt like there were a little bit of a hangover in terms of us going forwards. And there's that nervousness that we haven't had over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks because we've had Weaver at the back. With great respect to Otagbeo, him coming in doesn't instill the same level of confidence, does it? So when you're out of possession of the ball and they're driving forwards, it's again, with respect, you're hoping that there's not going to be a mistake and, we can hold it tight at the back and maybe get ahead and get something out of the game early, because when we've gone in front in games, we've performance-wise, we've been really good. When we've gone behind in games, largely, it seems to be first goal and that's it. And conceding the goal as early as we did was a little bit of a worry when you're in the ground, because it then becomes a long afternoon, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I felt like it was going to be a long afternoon once they scored, John. So there was a long range effort, and the defender, I think it was Otagbeo, didn't really react quick enough after Horvath spilled it. I mean, who's carrying the can on that one? I think it was 50-50.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you'll spot when you're watching Horvath is he's very much what we used to call a short stopper, isn't he? He's not the one that catches it like a good old classic Peter Schmeichel, full on dive and catches the ball as well. He's more of a parrier, isn't he? He does parry a lot of shots, but unfortunately, some of them bounce back into the path of the oncoming attacker, which in this case it did, and it was an easy finish for him. So I know you'll get people criticising Horvath, but that's just the style of keeper he is. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's the way he plays. Used to call it a bit of a continental style, didn't we? Even now, you see even British keepers now, a lot of times will want to punch the ball off a corner. Catching, which is weird, isn't it?
I wouldn't mind that, even if he did that, even if he punched it.
punch it to the side out of danger, yeah. But catching, it's weird to speak about it in these terms, but catching for a goalkeeper on shot seems like a dying art, doesn't it? It's more of a parry, a punch, just get it out of the box.
The problem is with the first goal, John, is like, how many shots will he have faced? Thousands in his life. And they are, I'm assuming, they are training to push it out. And he doesn't. He seems to push it back into the middle. Then it comes off his leg. And then the player's doing the right thing. He's following up his own shot. And he slots it in. Now, I think all the blame should go on him. I know we can go back a couple of steps and say about the defending and things, but as a goalkeeper, as last line, we laud them, don't we, when they pull off worldies and stuff like that. But the simple stuff of pushing it out to the side or to the right or getting it out for a goal kick or something. He should do that a lot better than he has done there. And I know you're going to say it was quite close to him and all that. I think the blame was squarely on Horvath, and I'd want my goalkeeper to do a lot better there. Would I have done this if Charles had done it? Yeah, we're commenting. It doesn't matter who the goalkeeper is. You've got to do better. So I think we can. For me, I question the goalkeeping there.
Charles doesn't do it though. Charles, I mean that. I don't think Charles would make that kind of mistake, and I think it's more endemic of Horvath as a goalkeeper. It's not just a one-off. You make that mistake once, fair enough, but he did it at Wrexham, and there's been a couple of times where, as we've just said, we've got Matthew Talbot's comment on the screen at the moment. The trouble with Horvath is he parries it back out into the box rather than out wide and out of the way. It's going back into traffic, and as a player, as a footballer, certainly at that level, you're at a professional level playing championship football, you should be able to. And we had this conversation in the LMS chat. It's not easy to get after anybody at the moment because we're playing with what we've got. And fair play to him turning up and putting a shirt on, putting the gloves on, and sticking his neck out there. But frustratingly, at that level, you'd expect a goalkeeper of any sort of merit and any sort of worth not to make those mistakes. And I don't think Charles would. I don't think Beadle would have made that mistake. I don't think any goalkeeper that we've had would make that mistake on a repeated occasion. And yet he's now done it 2, 3, if not 4 times. The rebound, the ball comes out. Iorfa was dawdling, but I don't necessarily blame him. I think Otabeo's got to react quicker. The guy has come from behind Otabeo to just slot it in. And if I'm as a centre-half, if that happens to me, I know that I'm getting a bollocking at half-time.
Stevie, I'd have absolutely screamed your head off if that. Honestly, because you're right, it comes from behind you and manages to run past him. Not only run past him, do this little step dance, open his body right out and put it and pick his spot in the top bins. It was absolutely awful.
like they always say, isn't it? Like they always say, even like it's no different from at that range. When a shot's coming in, it's no different to what you took from a penalty kick. You always follow it in. Right? Strikers follow it in, but defenders have to follow it in as well, because if it rebounds to them, you've got a chance of clearing it, haven't you? And he's just got caught on his heels there, hasn't he, Otabeo, which is disappointing. But yeah, the parry's awful, and it might be indicative of why somebody like Horvath has found himself third choice at Cardiff. Fundamentals as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, you're right. And we'll probably talk about Ethan Horvath later on. Stu Williams has done a great comment here saying the keeper situation is like taking your Ferrari for a service and being given a Fiat Multipla for a week. Does the job, but fuck me, it's shit. Actually happened to me. I took a Range Rover in and for 2 weeks they gave me a what was it? It was a Daewoo, what chef?
That's enough said.
It was like this tiny little thing that like literally looked like that thing out of the Simpsons where he goes, "Do you find something funny about me driving my automobile?" And I'm like, this is rubbish. And then
you feel like Hightower in it.
yeah, exactly that. I could have just popped the sunroof and just stuck my head out of it, and then Dunderbird's sticking up for the Fiat Multipla. Right, and so 15 minutes later, Ash, we lost Dominic Iorfa. Another injury, another setback, another, you know what I mean? We are threadbare, and then we got another injury. This is tough, isn't it?
Yeah, you could see that he had a bit of an injury in his lower back, and he did try to carry on, didn't he, for another 10 minutes or so, whatever. But then, mate, what can we do? I mean, the doctor, is it the doctor, is he, that's just left as well? One of the physios has just left as well. Gone to get paid somewhere else. He's been there since the Carlos days as well, I believe. So quite a long-serving backroom staff member leaving. He's put up with a lot, hasn't he, I suppose. So don't blame him at all. Dominic Iorfa, for what everyone's got their opinions on Dom, aren't they? Good, bad, indifferent. Probably most of them bad. But once again, we can't afford anyone to go off injured. We are threadier than threadbare. We are like the back of your head, Daniel. That people can't
I'm taking tablets for it. It's all right. That's why I wear these overhead earmuffs now.
Yeah, we've got one recognised fit centre-back in Gabriel Otabeyo, if you can call him that. So that's my thoughts on that.
So go that forced a formation change where Palmer then moved into the middle, and we brought on Chansiri to play at wing back. Is that right? Have I remembered that right? It'd been a long day, lads. You know what I mean? I've been on the ales. So then they went 2-0 up from a fairly routine back post header. At this point, I thought we're in trouble here. This is going to be a 4-0.
Yeah, again, I go back to everything that was being said on the preview show about how they are free scoring relatively. 2-0 so early, the little bit inside you goes, can we do another Wrexham? But you're not so sure. I was a little bit disappointed with the goal that we conceded, or the free kick that was awarded, should I say? Because I didn't feel like it was a free kick. I didn't think it was a foul in the first place. That's not excusing the defending. It felt a little bit soft. And at stage
that was Jamal Lowe, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Jamal Lowe's gone in for a challenge. I thought it felt to me like he'd gone down easy. Bought the foul. Referees gone quite eagerly given it, and then they just whipped it in. And I've gone back because obviously, like you said, we'd had a few beers and what have you. Looking back, I wasn't sure if it was going to be Otegbayo, Palmer, whoever it was that was marking, but it turned out it was actually Max Lowe, I believe.
He got dog just, didn't he?
Yeah, just stolen a march, and it was just a head in front of him, and he's ended up on his front. Goalkeeper nowhere, softest of soft goals, and at that point, it's really frustrating. And without wanting to get into it, there was an underlying current both before the game and at half time in the terraces that made it all feel a little bit sour at that point. I'm not sure right now is the right point to talk about it, but there was a lot of ill feeling at that stage in the afternoon, wasn't there?
Yeah, I agree. But I tell you what, we'll wrap up the Charlton game in just a moment. So we went into half time. Came out different. Sheffield Wednesday came out. I must admit, whatever Pedersen said to him at half time, they came out the traps, John. And then J-Lo in a similar sort of affair to their first one, reacted quickest to slot one home. I'm happy for him, but I still don't think he was very good on the day. I know that sounds harsh.
Yeah, and it's either him or Ugbo, so it's not much to consider, is it? So, but a good effort from Sean Fazer there, and unlucky Cannon's back off the post, and he's in the right spot at the right time to just lift it over the goalkeeper. And it's a weird one with Lowe, because when he's there by default now, because it's like, okay, Ugbo's not doing anything, so let's give Jamal Lowe a go. But then Jamal Lowe probably doesn't, after this game, he might not score again for a couple of games, and you might see Kadamatri come back in as starting striker. We're just turning cards over, aren't we? Hoping that we find an ace of spades, aren't we? But it's not. It's just not happening, is it? No one can take the bull by the horns, because there's no rotation, there's not enough squad depth and not enough quality, is there? So we're just cobbling together what we can, throwing enough stuff at the wall that we hope some of it sticks. And sadly it didn't on Saturday. But Jamal Lowe, he got his goal, but I agree, we didn't do a lot other than that, did he? Really?
And I thought it was one of his better games, so that's how bad I thought he's been in the last few games. Look, he took it well, didn't he? He didn't sky it into row XX and behind us or anything like that. So he took a good goal well. Needed it, didn't we, on 69th, 70th minute, whatever it was. So we were still in, and then I thought we were the better team. I really did.
I was going to say that to you, Ash. I was going to directly come to that.
Yeah, so I thought we were a better team. I thought we created. I didn't say well. The next one was the Ugbo header. Is that what we're calling it? So look, we know Ugbo is in probably one of the worst bits of form any striker or himself has been in for a while, and he just needs one to go in off anything. And I don't think trying to go for your header and it coming off his back, I don't know how we manage that. Is not the way to go. So, I thought second half much improved. Like I said, the two goals that we conceded as well, I thought at the time the second one went in was a bit of a kick in the teeth, and the first one was a goal key. So I know we're down in the dumps here. We've lost 2-1, but really, I I'm concerned, obviously, but I wasn't, oh my God, we've got spanked 5-0 at home at Coventry. We were in it. Charlton weren't miles ahead better than us. That we've got injuries, we've got all the off-field stuff. The fans are fantastic, yes, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been for me.
I agree.
Can I just give you a couple of stats to offer a little bit of balance and perspective? Saturday was, I know, get ready, stat wanker. This is going to need a new jingle as we go through. So you've got them up there. Whilst Dan's got them on the screen, I'm just going to point out a couple of things. Possession-wise, 60.5% possession was our highest possession stat of the season. We've seen more of the ball on Saturday than any other point. The XG, I don't think is on there. I'm not a massive fan of XG, but for those that are, 1.8 versus their 1.49, it was the highest XG that we've had since Wrexham, which was 1.92. And the first time we've had a higher XG than our opponent since the Grimsby game, where we've lost 1-0, but that doesn't really count because the stats were negligible there. And the other one was total passes. We passed the ball more in terms of passes that have been made. 453 passes were made on Saturday, which is the highest we've had again since Wrexham. We didn't do that bad on Saturday in relative terms. We had more touch in the box. We had more corners. We had better possession. Our passing accuracy was better. All those metrics I've just mentioned, we were better than them. We were better than them on Saturday. But at the end of the day, you can turn around and go, it is what it is. We've lost 2-1.
I think there was definitely positives there in terms of endeavour, in terms of moving the ball. And you're right. I've not seen us this season have so much control over the ball. I thought Charlton offered quite little, especially in the second half. And even when they scored, I didn't think they were much cop. I think when they went 2-0 down, I thought the heads would drop, and they didn't, especially when they scored just before half time as well. I thought this is going to be an issue. I just need to show one comment here, because I thought this might get tongues wagging. It's from Dunderbird saying, "Where'd you get that shirt, Fudge?" I'm wearing the current second strip, and it is from China. So, that's why it's waited that long. I'm buying snide shirts on the internet now.
While you're on about shirts, Dan, I'll give a shout out to the shirt I'm wearing from Mr. Tom Burton. Mr. Meadows did an excellent job on this with all the patches. And look, even got the name on the back, look. So, Shout out Tom Burton.
Shout out Tom Burton. If you want to take a look at his wares, he's on our link tree. He's also available on the QR code that's on screen right now. So get involved. Now, Stevie, there was an attempted murder at the back end of the game. I feel like
not involving Chansiri either.
Yeah. I feel like we should talk about that.
Do you know what? At the time, it looked, from where I was, 2-1 down. It was late in the game, and it was just like so innocuous. But the frustrating thing was, it did feel to us like it was. I'm not questioning for a second it was a red card. It was, it was brutal. But at the time, the referees played on. He's played on. They're on the floor, and if he got up, I'm questioning whether or not he'd have gone back and done anything about it. But it was the two lads that were down. The linesman has ended up right in the corner, and he stopped play with us in possession, other side of the halfway line on the left wing. So they played on for a good 20 seconds before he's gone, right, I'm going to stop.
Ball up. He was furious he had to give it.
Yeah. No questions, no arguments. It was a red card. It was, as you said, attempted murder, really, wasn't it? But
shout out to Tom Reeves, the ref, his name, if anyone really wants to know. I know we don't really talk about refs on this show, but I thought a special shout out to the guy who stops the game for, what was it, like 5 minutes, and then plays 49 seconds of extra after the goalkeeper's got sent off. I don't know how you can do that. So Jesus Christ, I was absolute fuming. And these guys, I usually do the walking out post, the photo and a little bit of this thing. And I did it, and it's a good job it did not send because it was.
You showed us in the pub afterwards, and it was just expletive after expletive. And normally it's just, not our day today, we'll go again, see you on Saturday. This one was like War and Peace. It was that one.
What was the What was the Nathan Jones comment about baseball bat hands or something? Did he say something in reference to Horvath's challenge there?
Could have been. Could have been.
I didn't see it because I despise Nathan Jones.
Yeah,
so I don't really want to see. I really don't want to see. He's one of them, and I think I spoke to one of Charlton fans on the train on the way home. Home to another pub. And we talk about it, and he says he's one of those. He loves Nathan Jones. I turn around because he's one of them managers. If he's yours, you love him.
Yeah, Billy Davies.
But the other 91 managers in the football league hate him, and it was the same way too. When Horvath made the challenge, he ran half the length of the pitch, didn't he? Like, trying to get him sent off where he didn't really needed to, did he? He'd done that himself. But yeah.
So as it stands, there is a point I do want to pick up on here from Matt Talbot here, saying, meanwhile, Charlton went for a drinks break and a huddle at the side of the pitch, which isn't allowed. Not a word said. That annoyed me. The keeper went down with an innocuous injury.
Oh, God.
Didn't he? And I know
every time, every match. And don't get me wrong, we've done it as well. It's not, but it's just something in the game that is, oh, my Jesus Christ. But if the ref's not going to go up to him and say, lads, you can't go out to the pitch. You have to stand in the middle, or only the captain can go over to the line and get the drinks and bring them back, or whatever. Then I think something needs to be done because it's a joke. And it was
the lack of swiftness that the referee went over to the goalkeeper to ask him what was up. He just ambled over. Me and Simon were spitting at this point, like, you know what I mean? And he just had, come on now, lads, hey up, you can't be doing that. Bloody hell, get on with it. We're on the up here, kids. But as it stood,
was that Simon or the ref? Was that Simon or the ref?
We'd had a beer. But in the end of it, Ethan Horvath got a 1-game ban. Sheffield Wednesday lost 2-1 in a game where they gave themselves a decent account of themselves in that second half, specifically. And I felt like we deserved something out of that game, if I'm honest, looking back at it with Sheffield Wednesday tinted eyes. But there are a few things I do want to bring up. But first, let's get one of these.
Don't skip ahead, don't press that button. These ads are lean, not belly mutton. A tiny break before we pop, and don't forget when fun stop.
So there's just a few things I want to talk about at the Charlton game, and once again, I'm gonna put myself in the happy clapper category of where we stand sometimes on this show, the one that brings in all the nice comments on the internet. But I don't think I have an issue with the C-bomb and the wanker in the middle of I don't care about Dapon chant, right? I think it's needless. And if I come at it from another perspective as well, we're trying to get this message out. We're trying to get things seen, and us shouting wanker and C-bomb doesn't, it's unbroadcastable. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like it's going to help much. But then this Chansiri Gonna Die song that we've started singing, what the fucking shirt balls is that? Like, what we doing here? Come on, man. That can get in the bin. And there was a lot of, and I feel like we need to talk about it. There was a lot of salivating fans from the Sheffield Wednesday end. We are Mardy right now, and this isn't me having a pop about that, because I completely understand why we're Mardy, but we're ready for a tear up. We're ready for a fight straight away. And before the game started, a geezer was getting carried out because he had a load of blood down the side and a big old swole. He's clearly had a big old clout. And then as we were queuing up for the train to get back to that London, a couple of fans, I think they were ours, was spitting on the track towards the other side of the train track and got dragged out by the police. What we doing? We're better than that. We're not that type of club, and I don't like it. After my rant the other year about the A up on the front of the shirt and the pandering to Yorkshire stereotypes, I believe that the people from Yorkshire are already perceived in a way that I don't think is favourable sometimes. If I cast your mind back to that Harry Enfield sketch about that big old loudmouth Yorkshire bloke popping into that meeting, or the Yorkshireman sketch on Monty Python, the really famous one, and things like that, we are perceived in a way. And I don't like that perception, I must admit, especially someone who's moved away from Yorkshire knows how I get perceived in other scenarios. And to sit there and pander to some of these stereotypes and to be perceived in such a way. I don't like it. I don't like it. And it might make me sound a bit wet. And I know some of you are really militant out there, but I feel like we use the phrase "we're all Wednesday, aren't we?" But before we went in, you could smell something was happening. You could feel it. It was genuinely palpable. And then walking back after, we've got the mug on, we've lost, we've had our remaining keeper sent off as it stands. We are not that type of club. We are not those type of fans. Let's stop it. Let's have a minute, for God's sake. I now understand some of the pressures that Ian and Jake are under at the trust, because I bet they've got a lot of fans telling them what they want to do is and what they should be doing and how they should be protesting and things such as that. I've got a genuine empathy for them, and I think we need to, like, some of us need to bang our heads together. I'm not always right, don't get me wrong, and I've been doing this a long time and I get called out a lot. There's a guy I think follows us on Twitter recently, a guy James Röhl, I think he commented on the show last week. He loves calling me out on shit, and I'm great. I love it. I love to have those conversations, but there are some things I don't like it. I don't like 10-year-olds shouting C-bombs at the football, and I know that sounds wet, and I know some of you are going, shut up, bloody hell, you happy clapper. It's just not for me, I don't go for that. You know what I mean? Am I being too sensitive?
It's not happy clapping, is it? Because you're not like saying you're not supporting the owner or anything like that. You're just saying about the words that have been singing song. And I was the same on Saturday with the Dom Iorfa song. So they've changed the words to that, and I was like, well, I don't really want to sing that, because I like Dom Iorfa and I like the song, and Dishon, sorry. Dishon Benerve, sorry, not Dom Iorfa. And they're getting it all that, and they're saying about it. And yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I'm not all about that, but I know people go football, and I'm not telling anyone how to crack on. I just didn't like it myself, so I agree with you on that.
Yeah, there's even talks of waiting, putting up a picket line against Middlesbrough, which we'll get into. But I tell you what, let's just come away from that just 5 minutes. Let's talk about how the week has gone down for Sheffield Wednesday. So Tuesday we had an embargo taken off. So jot that down. And then on Thursday, HMRC winding up petition. There was the looming threat of administration takes an ever closer step. I'm going to read it verbatim from Stevie's notes just so I make sure I get this right. So HMRC is reported to have pursued a winding up petition for unpaid PAYE and tax liabilities. The reports vary on the amount, but it ranges from about 750k to £1 million. A successful winding up petition can force liquidation or lead to administration. Either route has major sporting consequences, points deductions, transfer restrictions, administrators appointed. So what I wanted to do was try and discuss what administration would mean for, sometimes there's a few younger fans that watch this, we're used to administrations. We know how they are. They all work. But, in case you don't, I wanted to find out some, I wanted to go down the route of finding some examples. It's happened to Portsmouth. That was quite a big one, wasn't it? They got bought out by their fans. And there was Derby County most recently. They were in a right turmoil. So, Stevie, can you shine a bit of light? Now, so the basics are that an administrator takes over, right?
From as far as I'm aware, yeah, but I wouldn't want to profess to be that person that's going to come in and say this is what's going to happen and that's going to happen. It's just
internet people. I have not prepared Stevie for this question at all. Bless him. I absolutely just chucked him right under the shit there because I realised I was talking for a long time and thought I needed to let somebody else into. So what I'll do. So I tell you what. Let me get my notes up and then we'll go into that already. So an administrator takes over. A licensed insolvency practitioner is appointed to run the club instead of the board. Now the board is just Dapon Chansiri, right? And their job is to keep the club running while finding a way to pay off creditors. And then while in administration, the club is protected from legal action by creditors. The aims is to usually restructure debts, find a buyer, or agree on a CVA, a company voluntary arrangement. That's kind of how it works. With that, Stevie, comes point deductions and something we've fallen foul of in the past. We don't need that, do we? It would make a tough season tougher.
Yeah, of course it would. The outlying sort of point there is there's the situation around whether or not it makes it a fair level playing field. From the little bits that I have been told over the last few months, there are conversations being had away from the IFR around whether or not the EFL, we've talked at length about whether or not they've got any sort of power, would be willing to look on us as a favourable case, given that there are things that have happened that are clearly beyond where we are with things in terms of what we can do as a football club. But the bottom line is we are the property of Dapon Chansiri at the moment, aren't we? So it makes it very difficult from that end. From a point deduction point of view, I don't want it. Nobody wants it. Administration, if you read and listen to all those learned people that we aren't, would suggest that we'll go into an automatic -12. What does that look like for us from a competitive point of view this season? I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact that we are automatically relegated even on -12, because it ain't the strongest championship this season, is it? And I'd still want to think that we can fight, and if there's a team that can get out of that sort of situation, it would be a Sheffield Wednesday in that sort of situation. However, the other sort of thing to maybe consider is what happens if it rolls on to next season, and then we get we're at the end of this season and we're starting next season, and whichever league we're in on minus X amount of points. Again, we're on, from a time frame point of view, you want to take your licks and move on, don't you? You don't coming on to next season.
Just to pull on that point, so Leicester City, for example, are still waiting for their point deduction,
Yeah,
aren't they?
exactly
They fell foul. So there is an element of us starting next season with a minimum 12-point deduction, depending on how this plays out and whether it happens. John, a lot of people are hanging their hat on the IFR to come and rescue us, and it might change how this process goes, but I feel like it's going to be quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah, they're so new, and they don't really, nobody really knows that they've not been clear cut in messaging and in the word, and there's a lot of ambiguity in there, and it's like, can we be? Do they really have the power to? Effectively, it's just telling somebody that they can't run the business like they're running, but without a criminal element to it. How can they do that? How can they really stop him unless things escalate and it turns out there's more behind the scenes than what we know about. So it's all very tricky, and of course we still haven't got the points deduction from the failed wages as well, which should be coming. When we don't know. You've potentially got 2 there, haven't you? And I know you can do, again, there's an appeal system that you can go down where we've seen it before, where it gets reduced from 12 to 6 on appeal. So potentially, you could go from 24 to 12, but it still doesn't look great. But yeah, we don't know what's happening. Why would we go into administration as somebody like Chansiri? That doesn't fit him and doesn't seem to work. If he's wanting any kind of return on Sheffield Wednesday, then administration would seem the last thing that you would do, because you're getting pence on the pound, aren't you, if you do that? So we're all just kind of waiting here, and it just keeps trundling along, and everybody's in the dark still. And where do we go from here? I really don't know.
Yeah, it's. I think it's going to be a tough one, and we had a great comment there saying that it only carries over to the next season if it happens in the last 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, Dan. Sorry, just on that. If you're
sat next to a large grandfather clock.
It does sound so, doesn't it?
Is it you tapping your foot, Stevie?
There's a
yeah. Sorry. There's also the additional thing of coming out of administration. So this is where the 6 weeks before the end of the season comes in as well. So if we come out of administration but haven't settled everything that we can do as well, so all the debts, there's a potential of minus 15 points on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So but then that would go into next season if it's 6 weeks before as well. So you could come out of administration, have the 12 points this season, but then depending on the circumstances of coming out of administration, if it's like in the beginning of April or whenever they like, then the 15 points can be put on to next season. So you could start next season with minus 15, depending on what the situation is. So yeah, it's not good, but I mean, would you take all this just to get rid of the owner?
I think a lot of people would. I mean, like Matt Talbot's put a comment on there, so I'll be honest with you, I'll take anything to get rid of DC, whether it means points deduction, administration. We're down anyway. Let's be honest. So let's take the 12 points now, and then go into League One on a better footing. I remember Leeds United, if I remember rightly, had something ridiculous like a 40-point deduction, didn't they? Around 2006 or 2007, something like that. So that was horrendous, and there is a very real danger that we might go down to the fourth tier of English football if this doesn't get resolved, because as a lot of the comments are saying tonight, the chairman is clinging on. Stevie, have you having fireworks in the background? Is that what it was?
Mate, honestly, I'm like, what are we on? October the 20th, and then for some reason, somebody in the back garden, out of the blue, has just decided they're going to start chucking fireworks. I'm so sorry.
It's all right, mate. It's all right. Now, listen, I tell you what, let's put the admin chat just to one side, because I feel like we're going to get into some meatier territories. But we also had a confirmation that Ernie Weaver's surgery has been confirmed. I don't know if he'll play again this season, which is an absolute gutness, Stevie, for Ernie. And like players like Guy Sakira as well, you know, here's an opportunity for these guys to get some first team football. And Ernie was performing, man. I'm gutted for him.
Yeah, me too. He was my next Liam Palmer. I honestly, just the whole story. Kid, Sheffield lad, grown up, Wednesday eye, makes it through the academy. Is bless his heart. You know, has signed a contract with a view to when he signed that, or when that was being discussed, he was probably going, right, in a couple of years, you'll play for the under-21s, might get a couple of VFL games here and there, and has taken his chance. And my goodness me, in such I would defy anyone to say that a player in such a short period of game time, minutes or whatever, has gone so far in terms of a journey to get to where he is, or where he was before he got injured. He was the first choice centre half. He was, when people were saying, is he going to be a future captain? You're looking at it, you see his gesticulations on the pitch, you see everything else around him. The lad's been outstanding. I think he's just turned 19, he's 18, 19. My heavens, what a talent that kid is. And for everything else that's going on around Sheffield Wednesday, we've managed to unearth not just him. I'm a big fan of Granger as well, and I think there's certain other lads that have taken their, Brown's another obvious example, have taken their opportunity when it's come and have put themselves in there. And more credit to them, more power to them. The one thing I would say about this entire shitty situation is, I think Weaver came in with an injury. Reading a couple of the reports, he's played on it all season, but you know, we've seen a lot of these lads going down. Johnson's been injured, Sakira's been injured. There's been another couple that have hobbled off here and there. And then there's the stretch situation, which has obviously led to the goalkeeper with him being suspended now, Horvath. We do have a duty of care for these lads because they are still 17, 18, 19 academy prospects that we're now forcing to effectively be in and around a first team squad week in, week out. From a developmental point of view, I'm not sure that that's okay. We are where we are,
and that's it, isn't it? It's been, we've had our hand forced. We're going to go into a hot topic after this.
The Wednesday week, we'll be back soon. Oh, yeah.
Brace yourself, kids. Hot topic. Now, because it's been Monday and I've not had much chance to prepare, and this has been on my mind for like the last 2 days. I say I've not had much chance to prepare. I know my speech on it, but I haven't told these lads what I was going to say in terms of hot topic. But there's been a large groundswell of people online talking about boycotts and whether we should be boycotting the away games. It's a contentious issue, and I'm trying to understand why. And I hope the comments tonight, and I hope some discussion tonight will help me move that on. Do you want me to go first and tell you where I am, and then go from there? Would that be the right way to go? So there was a lot of.
You've done it for years, Dan, so you might as well, mate.
It's to give you thinking time, right? So I tell you what it is, right? I don't. For me, me personally, I think the away days they're all about balance, right? That is, I'm happy to not go to Middlesbrough game. I'm happy not to go to the extra games. They're decent choices for a full boycott to get the message out. I'm struggling with this narrative that people are picking, saying it's giving Chansiri money. It's giving Chansiri pounds in his pocket. We're all here going, not a pound in the ground, but you can go out and get pushed up with your pals. It's not. It's not. Well, somebody did a cursory Google search and come up with 5%. Somebody made up 180 grand or something like that. And if it's 180 grand or 5%, it's, the vast difference between these two figures are incredible. Because if you think about it, 31 quid on average, 3,000 people on average. We're talking, if it was 5%, about 3 to 4 grand, something along that line, 3,800, something along that lines. And that's what, and if we was taking that amount of money, that's what he'd be paying our stewards to go down to Hillsborough. So I don't think we are putting money in his pocket. Now, let's say we are, and it is 5%. That'll be someone's monthly wage that works in the shop. And I'm all right with that. I'm okay with that. As long as there's money to pay the people, the non-playing staff, and pay the players that we've got, I'm okay with that. And it's the best opportunity for us to make a stance. We can't protest if we're not there. Does that make sense? However, the reason that people are up in arms is twofold. The first one being, it would send a big message if Sheffield Wednesday had an empty away end. I don't think it would. I've seen empty away ends. And not everybody is involved in Sheffield Wednesday's away end politics as much as, the media. Like, just seeing some empty seats in an away end, I don't think would have any clout. Seeing it in our black and gold and like it was at Charlton, I thought that sent a better message. The second one is, let's be honest, all this is about TPP points. All this is about priority points. That's what it is. People are seeing us on the away ends, and they're sat at home and they're going, I'm doing my bit. Why aren't they doing theirs? And there's always this massive conversation around priority points, and that's what the issue is when you really dress it down. It's got nothing to do with giving Chansiri £1 because he ain't getting any pound from away tickets. He's getting nothing. It's about the perception that someone's doing something that they're not being backed in. You know what I mean? Someone's protesting, they're boycotting, and it's getting perceived that the other people aren't. And I think that's what it comes down to. And I think that when it comes to season ticket renewals, which is going to be the biggest test of anybody's mettle, that's where the amount of season ticket renewals, I feel, will surprise people. I feel like we've been what's the word? I nearly went with ordered or goaded. We've been advised by the trust not to renew our season tickets. Now, there is an element here that we can end up giving DC more money, because what if he's still in charge by the end of the last window and people are still wanting to maintain their points? People are still wanting to follow their club as well. Don't get me wrong. It's not all about that completely. There's an element if it's like the third window, we've ended up paying 300 quid more for our season tickets if you're in the South Stand, for example. So it's kind of holding your nerve a little bit, that type of thing. So I wanted to know where you guys sat on away games specifically. I know that was quite a lengthy intro, but John, what about yourself?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think to completely say don't go home and away, completely starve Sheffield Wednesday fans of any exposure of Sheffield Wednesday at any level, it is difficult, and they need a bit of a release from the actual circus that is going on right now at our football club, especially at home at Hillsborough. To go away gives them a little bit. It doesn't give them a little bit, because it gives them a huge release to be able to go away, get out of Sheffield, away from all the horrible news that's coming out of Essex at the moment. Go and follow the team away where it feels like you're out of that bubble of negativity, that horribleness. And I think, the financial implications are, for somebody like Chansiri and somebody for a club that's in a position of ours, is a bit of a drop in the ocean. I think it's a little bit nitpicking. it's almost like those people that are going in supermarkets and they're going through every ingredient to make sure it ain't got this in it, ain't got this in it, ain't got this in it. It's like, come on, guys, let them have a release. We've got all the circus back home. We get it every fortnight. Let them go away. I'm not bothered about the TTT points, whatever they call. I don't even go to most away matches, but I understand they're a hard thing to come by and you don't want to release it. But I don't think it's necessarily to the points. I think it's they want that release to get away from the circus, go away like you guys did on Saturday, meet up, down on the train, go and have a few beers, try and forget about it for a while, and cheer the boys that are trying their damnedest to cobble a season together under horrific circumstances.
Okay. I appreciate that, John. I appreciate I'm making you talk about it. And if you guys don't want to talk about it, I completely agree. I appreciate that. Let me just go into a couple of comments here before we come on. I shall come to you next. So Johnny Owl's gone with loads calling for the trust to boycott away games, but are they members? Trust will be guided by their members. Craig Haywood has gone with, I think people renew, but not in the first phase sale. Matthew Talbot's gone with, I'm for boycotting Middlesbrough game, but why aren't we planning a boycott for Oxford? We should boycott every single home game until he's gone. It's working, hence the reason he can't pay things and kiosks are closed on match days. I think the issue there, Matt, and don't get me wrong, none of this is having a pop. I'm open for a full and frank discussion. We've already paid. We've already paid to go to these games. Whether we go or not is irrelevant. However, in terms of sending a message like we're going to against Middlesbrough this week, I'm happy to. I'm happy to send that message. And then Matt's doubled down with away games. DC hardly sees the money. He has to pay for stewards and policing for the game, so he doesn't see anything. Doesn't even touch the sides, which was my initial point. However, we have had a counter opinion, and I want to make this as balanced as possible. Danny Smallman said, completely disagree. I've got a season ticket, but those who don't are being expected to starve themselves of all Wednesday activity, and they don't get to have the release. So from Danny's perspective, which is what I hope I touched on in the intro of it, is that the perception is I'm doing my bit, you're not doing yours, which I understand Danny's point. And Holly RH has gone, I think we would lose some support from the opposition if we boycotted their away ends. Imagine Blackburn missing out on 7k tickets. That said, she understands both sides of the coin. Ash, I'm finally going to get to you, mate.
Yeah. I just seen Danny's point there. I understand it's hard because I've been to a couple of away games this season. I love my away games, like probably a lot of people. Saturday, I love meeting you guys. We're not always a lot of us all together on one day, so to make that and a few beers was fantastic. What I needed after a crap week at work. But yeah, I can see the people who are season ticket holders that are being asked to not go to a game on Wednesday and not to spend any money in the ground. But then I don't think if it was 1% or anything, I think people would still say that you are giving him money because it's 1% that he would have had to find somewhere else. So he is trying to pay all the debts he can. But we are contributing that because of the money we're giving him. So even if he got $5,000 for an away game, it's $5,000 more than he would have that he'd have to find paying, like you said, Betty the tea lady and anything. But I'm on your side with it, Dan, because of that. So yes, 5%. I am personally happy with that because if it does pay for Betty the tea lady, or in my head, that is what he's going towards.
Yeah. I like it. And you're right, Ash. That's a great point.
I'm not.
Sorry, Ash. I think you've caught something on your keyboard there. It went mute. You went, I'm not, and then you just muted yourself. I don't know what happened there.
Sorry, I didn't do that. No, I'm just saying that, like, I am not a season ticket holder that don't go to away games. I do, but people who don't go to away games for whatever reason, they are asked not to go. So I can see why the fans would say, well, how come you're not sacrificing your love of Sheffield Wednesday as much as others? And I can get that. I really can. But on the away thing,
meantime, we're rewarding ourselves with more points as well. You know what I mean? And I completely understand the perception.
It's going to come to away, like this. I believe there's 200 to 250 away season ticket holders still at the club. So they've been around since God knows when, and you can't get them anymore. So if you've got them, you're going to want to keep them. So there's going to be people who are going to renew for them as well. But then, yeah, the TPP things, I'm not really that bothered about them. I like my away games, but it's not something that I need to buy a ticket every other week to keep them up. But yeah, for me, away games, they shouldn't. I don't think we should end boycott them. Because I agree with you, Dan. The visual of seeing the black and don't go wrong, I don't think that is going to make him sell. I don't think 3,000 Wednesday fans holding, but it's something that 99% of away fans are in that one moment on the 10th minute probably unified. I'll not say the other U word. Unified in one thing at that time on 10 minutes. But yeah, it's not going to make him sell. But what is at the minute?
Yeah. Stevie, I'm just going to do a couple of comments. Just before we come to you. We've had a few Rangers fans coming on. So we've had Ian said Sheffield Wednesday, a huge club. Can't understand why some Saudi style owner can't see the upside. I think they probably have, Ian, but our chairman is notoriously difficult to deal with. And then Dave, who we've mentioned before on the show. Now, wrap your head around this one, kids. It's like grandparents. They give you pocket money. Whether you go to their house or you go to theirs, it's not about the money. You should enjoy them while they're here, as you don't know when that day will come that they aren't. And no one should tell you to not go and see your grandparents. He says, worst analogy ever, but you sort of know what I mean. I actually do. That's a weird one, but I kind of get it. Like, what's the reason? What do you go to the football for? I guess is the question. Okay, Stevie, I'll let you wrap this up. And once again, I appreciate you loads for talking about it.
I think a lot of the sentiments there, it's very difficult to wrap it up in a minute, 2 minutes or whatever. And I don't want to give a sort of a big sort of 4 or 5 minute monologue.
Are you sure you don't?
Well, this is the thing, because I say that. There's lots and lots of ways that you can look at it, and I had a little bit of a response in my head, and it's changed so many times based on Dave's comment around the analogy and around your opening gambit, Dan, and around what Ash has just said, because I largely agree with everything that has been said myself. Am I in it for the points? No. At the point, like the away days, am I in it for the points? No. There was a comment earlier on from Pete Holmes, who asked if he could have our sort of, would you be willing to share your stance on where you are in terms of season tickets next season, in terms of renewals? I will tell you now, as it stands at the moment, I won't be purchasing a season ticket next season, and that absolutely breaks my heart. Anybody that's been a fan of the Wednesday week for the last 3-4 years will have seen Molly. She doesn't come on anymore because she's 11 and she's 5'8" and has become a pre-teenager, so she's not that cute kid anymore. So we don't need her on. But from a personal point of view, my Saturdays were always me, Molly, my sister. I talk about it every week. That's my escape. That's my release. And when I get that at the home games, it makes me happy. That's my happy place. Because away from football, which is a hobby, it's not my life. It's not everything. I love doing this. I love Sheffield Wednesday. I love everything around it. But at the end of the day, when we've done this, I'm not going to move. I'm going to grab a drink, some food. I'm going to open my laptop and I'm going to start prepping work at 10 p.m. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what we do. I'll be up at 5 a.m. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to go and do all of that. Sheffield Wednesday shouldn't be a reason that I'm clocking people that have got a similar interest on an away terrace and calling them scabs. That I have a real strong feeling about. From a point of view, I hope I am at Sheffield Wednesday next year. I genuinely do. I hope something happens. I just don't know whether or not I will be, because I don't think anything that we're doing at the moment is going to have an impact. And I know that people will go on social media and say, for every penny that we don't spend in the ground, it's a penny out of his pocket. The away tickets have only become a thing in the last sort of 2 weeks or so. It's the last 2 weeks. Nothing's changed in terms of everything else. It's like somebody suddenly has gone, oh, do you know what? Why are we talking about this, but we're not talking about the away games?
We've been doing that. Mentioning, Stevie, that both Portsmouth and Charlton both got to general sale. You know what I mean? I get that. People are missing out, they can't go.
But then on that point as well, Steve, I totally agree. You know, like people are shift focus from one thing to another. Why are people, and the same thing, why aren't people focusing on the businesses and the sponsors that have ploughed in thousands and thousands this year? Do you know what I mean? As well, there's other revenue streams that people could have been having a go at as well.
If you are listening to this in the car, you've not got a flat tyre. Steve is having a firework party for Diwali in his back garden.
I'm so sorry. I'm not personally having a Diwali party.
He is.
No, I get all of that as well. But Holly made a point earlier on as well about the optics around it, and we've got to be very careful. We are now at a point where there's an element of the fan base that is that militant. It's one way or no way, and it's absolutely starve absolutely everybody of everything. So let's take the personal out of it for a moment and forget about the Wednesday side of it. I had 45 minutes with the Charlton lad last week after we finished recording the preview show where he talked about it. And he said, and I'm going to preface what I'm about to say by saying he doesn't necessarily know the full financial ins and outs of it, but he's a man who has gone through 10, 15 years worth of protests, ownership, this, that, and the other at Charlton. And when I asked him whether or not he thought it was a good idea, he said he would advise against it. The reason he said he'd advise against it was because of the optics that we've just talked about. For if it's 5% that we're giving him, that is, paying Betty the tea lady, that's keeping the, the kiosk staff sweet, that is the dear old lady that sells the program on the South that I see every week and smile at. They get money. This money is paying for them in my head. Do you know what I mean? It's not having an impact on Chansiri because it's not enough. His analogy was it's a fiver down the back of the sofa to him. And I know that might get clipped and people will be vitriolic in my sort of flippance around what I'm saying there. But for the 5% that we have, there's 95% going into those home fans. All right. And people will say, well, it's not about them. But when you've got that groundswell of Leicester that are going and we're applauding in, Sky Sports made a point of that. Wrexham have made a point. The Trust have had the money from Wrexham because of everything we've done as an away fan base. The black and yellow is working. It is. But it's only working because we're turning up away and on 10 minutes making all the racket and all the noise that we do. And we're traveling.
That's the one. Yeah.
And absolutely demonstrating that we are a fucking good fan base that largely on the whole are a good set of people that want to get behind the club, support the lads, in these horrible circumstances that they are. Horvath dropped a bollock on Saturday, he dropped 2. Nobody's getting after him, in the ground. We carried on cheering. Charlton fans have come out and said best away fans that we've had all season. That's what we need going forward because it's not going to get any easier at home. And rightly so, he's had our money. And I don't subscribe to the fact that we should be, filling Hillsborough on Wednesday night or Saturday or whenever. I've got my season ticket. I'm going to attend when I can. I've got a decision to make about Wednesday. I'm in line to support the protest because I think it's the right thing to do as an optic thing. I don't think it's sustainable long term because of the reasons that we've just been talking about. We need to find something else. We need to do something else. But to just be so dismissive of that away fan base, I think is very dangerous. And the final thing I'll say before I move on, we've touched on it. The infighting, certainly at away games, has to stop. It has to stop. People that have travelled to an away game and then called somebody a scab is a nonsense. It's a joke. And we've got to stop doing that. We will be here once he's gone. We will. And we've got to get together. And it's about looking down the line and looking across your row and looking at the people that you've seen that have made a decision or otherwise. We are all Sheffield Wednesday fans. And at heart, we've got on the back of the shirts, we're all Wednesday, aren't we? We use the hashtag. We've got to stick together and we've got to respect people's decisions and we've got to try and reason with people in the right way rather than just getting after people with violence and, vitriol.
Go on, Ash, you were going to add something.
I was going to say my thoughts on the calling for an away boycott. I think it'd put the Trust, if the Trust did it, in a difficult situation, to be honest. If they called for it,
a huge amount of division.
The reason why is because if they did call for an away boycott, there is that many Sheffield Wednesday fans that would love to go to an away game, and it isn't a closed shop. It is probably the same 4,000 or 5,000 or many that go to the away game. If they called for it and then there was still a sellout of wherever we say it was West Brom, just say it was West Brom, the next one. If they called for an away game boycott and we still sold out, the trust would be in a no-win situation because they'd be seen to have no power or no sway or anything, whatever you want to call it, because they called for a boycott. Yes, the original 2,000 who would have gone would boycott, but there's another 10,000 Wednesday fans probably that would go because they haven't been to West Brom or they haven't been to an away game.
They're
for
not
years.
on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, they're not on Twitter as well. Yeah, it's a very good point. It's social media. So I think the trust, if they did, I don't think they'd get the support. They would from a lot, but I still think the away tickets would sell out because they'd go to general and they'd beat everyone. So I don't think they could.
That brings me nicely to the next point I was going to bring up before I go through some of your comments. Alex shared a really good idea to do a survey to try and gauge fans' reactions about how they felt about certain things and certain measures and things that were put in place and things that were suggested. The only critique I had of that, I had a good chat with Holly over the weekend. The only critique I had of that was, are you going to renew? And the answers were yes or no. You know what I mean? Or something like, I'm not a season ticket holder. No. I'm not going to buy a new one. Are you going to renew? Yes or no? And I think that there are many nuances to that answer to that question. I thought the idea of it was fantastic. I really loved it. But obviously everybody's in favour of saying no. Of course they are, right? In its current guise, no. But, you know, I could have done with if it is the same as it is, no. If there is we're going through a bidding process, I might. You know what I mean? If the renewal wasn't at Christmas, I would consider it. You know, those type of options. I feel like there's a lot of nuances to the answer of that question that I think we missed, because I think it was overwhelming. 95% of people said that they're not going to renew, and I feel like a lot of people read that question as in its current guise, which if that makes sense.
Do you think, Dan, just on that? Sorry, Dan. Do you think people would renew at the lastminute.com, so in May or whenever thing? Because obviously you're not going to do it in December because he's still here. But people they've still got because people do love sitting in the same seat and they've done for 50 years.
There's all that.
I love that.
I've been going with my dad for 30 years and all. Yeah. There's all that. Yep.
That's fantastic. I don't want anyone to lose that because that's their thing. But then May may be the last one. So it'll be like, I think people would go, that's the very last I can buy it with him in charge. And I think then that would be a big decision, because if he's still
as a result, we've paid him even more money.
Which you did say. Exactly. Yes. But I think that would be it.
That's the jeopardy.
That's the jeopardy, of course. And I understand that, because the last May is probably the time latest that he's going to leave. But it's probably, like you said, it's the time that you're going to give him the most. Instead of 500 quid, it's going to be 700 quid or whatever the stupid bloody prices will be. So yeah, absolutely.
Now let me get through some of these comments. So in terms of the positivity, Bob Bennett did a great comment here. Said it's notable the sports media reporting positively on the continued travelling support to get behind the players. I think that is notable, which is why I'm pro away days. And then we had Matt Talbot cut down on the trouble is the 5% we give him doesn't go to the staff; it gets wasted. That's a danger. That is a danger. And those stewards that we're talking about, I think that's a separate bill. I get that the perception is you don't pay the people, but I think we said a couple of times, I'd like him to have a couple of quid to pay. And she's here again, Betty the tea lady. You know what I mean? In my head, I feel like that's where that change is going. But I don't believe it's that much either. And I think it's even less than a £5 down the back of the sofa. Then we had Danny, who did reply, the guy who put the comment about away games before, and he said, I'm happy to sacrifice it as a season ticket holder 100%. I just understand the anger of those who don't have one, being told they can't have their fix when some are going week in, week out. I agree with you, Danny. I completely understand that perception of how it looks from the outside in. And I feel like, we had a comment from Matt earlier on about mental health as well, and we spoke a lot about it during COVID, about what it does for people to go to these games and meet their friends and their family and stuff like that. Now, this one for me was a decent question here. And it's from Craig Hayward, and he said, "What will the Trust's next boycott be? The Sheffield Derby." Now, I know this. I'm not going to pull in on the minutiae of that, but what the Trust has an issue of now, and this is a problem that they're going to have to manage. And God bless them, I'm glad I'm not making this choice. You've got a group of people, all with varying degrees of how they feel that the protest should play out. Should we be running on the pitch? Should we not? Should we be doing this in a nice way? Should we be doing picket lines? There's a lot of people with lots of different opinions on how this is going to play out. And bless Ian and Jake, they have to manage that. Fucking hell, I don't want to be in your job. But what we have is a lot of people constantly going, right, what we're doing now, it needs to be bigger, it needs to be better, it needs to be louder. We need to send this message. I'm afraid that a lot of the more militant people who want to move things forward quickly, I think they're going to get frustrated going forward, because I feel it's going to get stale to them really quickly, because you know as well as I do that the biggest message that we're going to send is when those season tickets go on sale. That's when the biggest test of metal comes in. And I feel like some people are going to get a bit mardier online. Some people are going to get a bit more agitated online, and because we all don't agree with each other in how this should play out. And that's why it's so vitriolic at away games. And there's geezers walking out with claret dripping down his head. You know what I mean? We need to be a bit patient, I believe. But I also understand why people believe that we shouldn't be, that we should be ramping it up, taking it up a notch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the biggest card the fan base has got to play, Dan, isn't it? It's the season ticket renewals. That's where the bit of power comes back to us. And that's us saying to him, right, hang on a sec, no, we're not doing it. We're not renewing. A vast majority of us are not going to renew. That's the biggest message we could ever send him, because that's got the biggest implications financially. And somebody once said, I don't know who, but Sheffield Wednesday's greatest asset is its fans. And it absolutely is. We've got a crumbling stadium. We've got no training ground. The team's in turmoil. And we still turn up. And there's still people out there that want to buy us, because they know that this team run right and get back to where we want it to be is a juggernaut. And they know that, because we're such a special fan base. So let's remember that we are the power to stop eventually when the chips hit home. You know, these season ticket renewals could be a pivotal moment in this battle with the he that shall not be named.
I depending what happens on Wednesday night, it will be a thing that will probably, I don't know the Trust, and I don't know their thoughts or anything if they do a boycott again. I don't know if they can ask fans again not to go teasing to. They've already paid to go. They've done it on a midweek game that's on Sky, so you would think the next one would be the Derby. But like my point about the away tickets, for them to turn around and not ask people to go to the Derby, I think they'd be on to a lose-lose, to be honest.
I think it's too much. I think it's too much. I think there's levels to it. And not paying extra to go to a cup game against Grimsby, great choice. One that's live on Sky, great choice. To go, hey, don't go to the biggest game of the season at home, I think will be too much. And I feel like the vitriol again online will ramp up. Let's go to a couple of comments. Paul Davenport, Charlton fan. Wednesday fans need to be united in their opposition. Now, Charlton have been through this before, haven't they? Whatever forms that may take. Chansiri, and that's how Sam Matterford pronounces it, but he's done it in a fun way. Would love nothing better than divide and rule. Great turnout on Saturday, by the way. Cheers, Paul. Appreciate that. That's really cool. Danny Smallman, bless him, who's been on, and I love this guy, actually. I love that he's calling our shit out. He said, after 20 years, I'll not renew until he's gone, even in May. If my seat goes, it'll be a fresh start all round. And that's the perception we were talking about away fans and fresh start on priority points as well, right? You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. However, that was tough. Thank you for joining me in that, chaps. That wraps up today's Hot Topic. Any other business, chaps? Stevie, I'll let you read these out because I need to have a minute from speaking.
Just super quick, we've found that potentially Joe Lumley is going to come and sign 7-day emergency loan to cover Ethan Horvath's suspension. So maybe Wednesday night we'll have Joe Lumley, bit of a journeyman, currently at Bristol City, signed from Southampton over the summer. Has been around and about. I think he's actually signed for about 4 or 5 different clubs, but has been on loan at about 10, 15 others. I would warn against, if you haven't had an opportunity to look into his background, I'm going to say this with all the love in the world, I'd warn against having a look at some of the Reading fans' opinions on him, and a couple of others, because it ain't necessarily great. And the Middlesbrough fans aren't huge, supporters aren't huge fans either. But if he comes in and he's going to do the job, then more power to him. But fair play. And then the other ones, the Carlos one, God bless him. So Carlos, for those of you that didn't see it, just let's just put this up as a little bit of light entertainment. So he's gone on Twitter, X, social media, and sort of put out a really positive, I'm going to the game on Wednesday night. I'm looking forward to catching up with all of my friends. And then I think he's had a bit of a tip-off that there's a potential boycott and nobody's going to be there, and he doesn't know anybody. So he's come out again today and gone, oh, well, nobody's got in touch with me. I've not had any invites. I don't know who I'm meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have dinner with Lee Bullen, and I'll see you at another point somewhere down the line, which I thought was the quickest and most amusing 180 that Sheffield Wednesday have had all season. And then the last one was, it'd be remiss of us as a Wednesday podcast to not highlight the fact that our former coach, manager, first team leader, if you like, Danny Röhl, has joined Rangers today and has made me £65 richer, which I'm more happy about because I put a tenner on it. And I'm also happy that he's not going to be in the dugout at Hillsborough anytime soon.
I think he'll do really well there. I'm going to bid farewell to my friend Ash, who's going to do some media whoring duties. Thanks a lot for joining me this evening, Ashley. Go and knock and bandit. Is it Rangers fans you're talking to?
It is. Speak about Danny Röhl. So yeah, if you wanted to, yeah.
It's like we're tuned in. It's like we know what we're talking about, mate.
It's a subtle segue. I enjoy it. 2 words I struggle spelling. See you later, Ash. Thanks a lot.
See you later.
Thanks a lot for joining us this evening from everybody else. It's been an absolute pleasure. John, Stevie, thank you. Simon, my apologies. I forgot you were with us at Charlton. Did you know what? That's because he did something sensible and went and got something to eat. And I'm really jealous that he got himself a curry.
That curry looked nice, to be fair, didn't it?
It did look banging, I must admit. Proper London late night curry. Get in. It was a pleasure to see you all, and I'll be interested to see how all this pans out. And I kind of want to finish on like one of those Jerry Springer monologues where he goes, "Take care of yourselves and each other." But I really just want to say, stop fucking fighting. What's the matter with you? We're all Wednesday, aren't we? But listen, that's it from me tonight, chaps. Unless you've got something else to add or anything like that.
Perfect ending.
No, just interesting to see Röhl at Rangers. It's a nice way to fluff your CV up, but then again, Russell Martin were an absolute nightmare, weren't he? So it's not as easy a job as you think, is it?
I think he'll do really well, especially hooking up with the gas man once again. Thanks a lot, folks. It's been a pleasure. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week, bringing you football analysis.
They said we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you modern references.
I did a little 1920s fist pump there. Not done that in a while.
If we could do just a 1-to-1, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This shows like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble, wobble, Cyber Jordan. Going, hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday Week. Join us.
Put on your